What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be looking at some cannabis stocks such as Sundial, Tilray, Canopy Growth, and Aurora Cannabis that have been blowing up over the course of the day because there have been some massively positive developments for cannabis stocks at large over the past couple of days. We've seen cannabis at the state level being turned towards legalization, as well as at the federal level. We've seen some good things, and even across the entire world, there's some positive developments for cannabis. We're going to cover all of those, so feel free to hit the like button before we get started. But other than that, we'll look at Sundial real quick and notice that it is up about 11% on the day, and that Tilray is up about 10%. A lot of these cannabis stocks have been pumping. Aurora Cannabis up 10%, and Canopy Growth up 21% on the day. A lot of other stocks have been pumping as well. These are just some of my favorites. They've been doing exceptionally well. Sundial too. Very excited to see that getting back up there. And there are some key reasons for this, right? There are some positive developments at the state level that we're going to talk about first before we start talking about some federal and worldwide events that have been going on. But a new Florida cannabis legalization initiative has been filed for the 2024 ballot. So potentially we're going to be seeing some legal cannabis in Florida because this has the backing of the state's largest medical cannabis company. Obviously, 2024 is a long ways off, so it's not the most exciting thing, but it is important for the cannabis space. Voters across Wisconsin will also be seeing cannabis questions on their ballots in November. Depending on which cities they're a part of, they may see some cannabis legalization questions at the more local level. So exciting stuff. It's going to talk about whether they want to legalize it, tax it, and regulate it in a manner similar to alcohol. At the worldwide level, we're actually seeing a new Colombian president call for the end to the war on drugs, and he's actually being praised by top U.S. congressmen. So the new president of Colombia is actually anti-war on drug, not anti-drug, as you might have thought they would be. Actually anti-war on drug, which is probably the area that a lot more politicians are going to start stepping towards. You know, ever since we got access to the internet on a wide scale, the world has been moving more and more towards pro-drug and less war on drug. As people have had more information and been able to hear more stories from people across the world and have just been better able to share information and are less susceptible to some of the propaganda that's out there that's not too well put together, right? When you hear all this anti-drug propaganda, a lot of the time it's not too well thought out. There's no real basis for it oftentimes, and a lot of people are starting to realize that. So we're going to see more and more politicians, not just in the United States, but across the world, actually be more open to legalizing these substances, which in my opinion is a very good thing. And the federal government in the United States is actually seeking a contractor to help test cannabis compounds in people's breath. Now, you might think that doesn't sound great. Why would they want to test for these compounds? But it's actually going to be necessary, most likely, to test for these compounds if cannabis is legalized at the federal level, just to make sure that people aren't driving on it or doing anything that they shouldn't be. The government's going to want to have some safety measures in place, such as being able to easily test for it in people's breath, just to make sure that people aren't breaking other laws once it is legal. So this is actually a step towards legalization. At least that's how a lot of people are viewing it. And the study overall, not going to be that big, right? The research they're going to be doing, it's only going to have $1.4 million of funding, but it is good to see the federal government funding cannabis in one way or another, right? Even if it's just to research how to see how recently they've smoked or consumed cannabis after a certain period of time, right? That's not necessarily the most interesting research for a lot of people, but it is good that the federal government is a part of that research. And, you know, a lot of people who have been holding these cannabis stocks are really going to appreciate today's quote that comes from Benjamin Franklin. He says, "He that can have patience can have what he will." And that's the exact situation I think we're looking at with these cannabis stocks. When you look at stocks like Sundial and Tilray and Aurora Cannabis that have been massively crushed. I mean, we'll look at Tilray as an example. Over the past 90 days, just been decimated. And we're starting to come back. And as legalization becomes a more prominent issue in our elections, and as these legalization initiatives actually start to get through the Senate, through the House, to the president's desk, I think we're going to see much more positive movements than what we've already seen over the past couple of days and weeks in the cannabis space. I think it's going to be pretty darn good. And the people who have had patience and have actually held onto these stocks instead of just selling for a loss, I think will most likely be rewarded. Obviously, not financial advice. That's just my opinion. And if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.